Good morning and welcome to the Real Estate Walk and Talk. Today's question, should I pay off an existing loan or should I buy my third rental property for cash flow? And if you have questions just like this, make sure you join me on our show, the Not Your Average Investor Show. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I answer questions just like this. It's at 12:30 Eastern and you can register at jwbshow.com. So the question of the day, should you pay off an existing loan on one of your rental properties or should you use that capital to continue to buy more rental properties? I had a question come from one of my good friends who's also a JWB client, and welcome to those who are walking with me right now. He said, so I've come into some money and I've got two properties and I want to know if I should buy my third. What should I do with this capital? Should I pay it off or should I buy the third investment property? And I know many of you have similar questions. I get this question quite often. So I'll walk you through the thought process so that you can make the best decision for yourself. As you would imagine, it is not a one-size-fits-all answer. So you have to know three things in order to figure out the best decision for yourself. All right, number one, what is your monthly passive income goal? What is that dollar figure that you need to achieve from your rental property portfolio each month from monthly income? All right, number two, what is the interest rate of the debt that you are considering paying off? And then number three, what is the potential rate of return for the new investment property that you're thinking about purchasing? So for this example, let's say that the monthly passive income goal for you is $5,000 a month in passive monthly income. You've got two properties now. You're considering buying a third. All right, the interest rate on the loan that you're considering paying off is 5.5%. All right, and you're considering buying a rental property, a third investment property, and that's going to generate an 8% return from the cash flows, and that will also appreciate at 4% per year. And you're considering buying that third investment property with financing. Okay, welcome everybody who's walking with me right now. The question of the day is, should you pay off an existing loan or should you buy another rental property? All right. So the first and most important factor to consider is number one, what is your monthly passive income goal? That's the reason you're investing. You're not investing because you love buying houses. You're investing because you love monthly passive income. So you have to understand why you're doing it. And you understand why you're doing it, and then you put a dollar figure to it, right? If you need $5,000 a month in order to retire early, or $5,000 a month in order to go on trips around the world once COVID is over, whatever it is for you, you have to define it. So once you know what your passive monthly income number is, then you can work backwards from there. Now, financing, all financing is it's a tool to help you accelerate the timeline to get to your monthly passive income number, right? It's a smart, inexpensive way to use other people's money in rental properties. Many other times when you have to use leverage or debt or financing, it all means the same thing, you have to pay a lot for it. But in rental properties, it's inexpensive and it's readily available. And all this is it's a tool to help you get the right number of assets in your portfolio. So if your goal is $5,000 a month in passive monthly income, and you only have two properties, guess what? You don't have enough assets in your portfolio to get you to $5,000 a month, right? So using leverage basically helps you. Using debt or financing, I use all those terms interchangeably. All that does is help you acquire assets quickly. You get them into your portfolio, and then you can focus on paying them off. But if you focus on paying them off too quickly, it's going to take you a lot longer to get the right number of assets in your portfolio. And welcome everybody who's walking with me right now. I see we've got Anthony Ditta, we've got Jerry Rosenberg, we've got Christopher Wicketshaw. I appreciate you guys for being here. I see you've got some questions. I'll make sure I get to your questions here at the end. But we're talking about what's the right thing to do, to pay off an existing loan or to buy another rental property. So for understanding your monthly passive income goal, the first thing that you have to do is you have to get the right number of assets in your portfolio. In order to generate a portfolio that's going to kick off $5,000 a month in passive income, you're going to need at least 6 properties in that portfolio. So if you're only at 2 and you're considering paying one off, versus adding a third one. If you choose to not use debt, if you choose to pay off the debt, all you're doing is extending that timeline to getting to your ultimate monthly passive income goal. And you're extending it by a long time. If your plan is to only buy rental properties when you can afford to pay for them in cash every single time, you might not get to your ultimate passive income number until way down the road. So don't fear debt. It is a tool when used smartly to accelerate your ability to get the assets in your portfolio. And if your goal is $5,000 a month and you only have two, frankly, you don't have enough assets in your portfolio. So you would lean more towards buying that third one. All right, so the second thing to evaluate, what is the interest rate on the debt that you're thinking about paying off? All right, well, in this case, the interest rate is 5.5%. So another way to think about this is you've got this pile of money right now, you're thinking about what to do with it. If you go and pay off that existing debt, that 5.5% existing debt, you're earning 5.5% on your money with that decision, right? So 5.5% return on investment there. Now what you do get is you get more income coming in, right? So on those two rental properties, you get more income. You no longer have that debt on that one rental property you're thinking about paying off. So that'll kick off somewhere between an additional $600 to maybe $1,000 of additional passive income if you decide to pay the debt off, which is great. We love positive monthly cash flow, but we have to consider what we're giving up. All right, so that leads us to the third question. What is the opportunity cost? What could I earn in a return on investment if I was to use that money to buy that third rental property? All right, so we talked about how you would earn an 8% return just on the cash flows. And welcome everybody who's walking with me right now. We're talking about the decision between paying off an existing loan or using that money to buy a third rental property. All right, so now we're talking about the opportunity cost. What would you be giving up if you paid it off versus investing in a third rental property? So on the third rental property that you could purchase, you would earn an 8% return on the cash flows. That's your rental income minus all of your expenses, including your tax savings and your principal pay down. But that doesn't include property appreciation, right? So property appreciation, you're buying this third one with financing. You're only putting 25% down. So when that asset appreciates at 4% a year, because you're holding on to this for a full market cycle, you're not flipping it, you're holding on for 10 to 20 years or more, you can count on this appreciation. And so that 4% appreciation, when you use financing, that's really a 16% return on your investment. So your opportunity cost is not just the 8% from the cash flows. It's actually 8% from the cash flows plus 16% of the asset going up in value when you invest in a growth market like Jacksonville. So your total opportunity cost is actually 24% in this example, which makes 5.5% look a lot more measly, right? So there you have it, right? Let's review the options. Option one is to pay off that existing debt, that 5.5% debt. The positives there are you get the feeling of paying something off, which, hey, we all love that feeling. You generate $600 to $1,000 more of cash flow because you no longer have the interest or the mortgage payment on that debt, which is great. You get more cash flow today. The downside is that you give up an opportunity to earn a 24% return. And but the big thing is that it's just going to take you a lot longer to get to your ultimate monthly passive income goal of $5,000, right? So you may be looking, you may need to reevaluate what your real goal is if that's the plan there. Option two is to invest in the third rental property. And you get a 24% return if you count all buckets, all profit centers on the investment. You get the right number of assets into your portfolio quicker. You ultimately get to your passive income goal maybe 5, 10, maybe many more years quicker than if you only bought them in cash. And you're still earning positive cash flow on the new one that you buy, a couple $100 a month. So especially if you're young and you have other sources of income, this is a no-brainer to buy that third rental property, right? The only way that I would take a deeper look and maybe recommend paying off that debt, which I do with some clients, is if they're nearing retirement age and the concept of getting the best return on investment is not the most priority for them anymore, right? It might be about maximizing positive cash flow and eliminating debt for them based on their family situation and other things, right? And if they don't have other sources of income, right? So that may be a reason to pay off the debt. But if you're young and you have other sources of income and your goal is really $5,000 a month, you buy the third rental property in this example. All right, we can't fear debt, right? Taking on smart, inexpensive debt, taking it on in a manner where it pays for itself every single month is a tool that you can harness. You just have to be disciplined with it. You have to stick to the plan. You have to get comfortable with the idea of having debt. And when you do this and you stick to this plan for 10 years, you're going to see the benefits. You're going to see your assets continue to grow. And so that's what I would recommend in this example. Use the debt, buy that third rental property, and build up this army of income producing assets here. So thank you all for walking with me here. I can see you guys are right here. Let me take these off so I can see who's here. We got Alan Walker, a client, Bill Oxley. Bill Oxley's always got a good comment for me. We'll see what he throws in here. And we've got Ruben Ebenezer, a client as well. All right, so let's see what kind of questions we've got here. Anthony Ditta asked, he said, hey, Greg, it's a beautiful day there. It is a beautiful day, man. This is awesome, man. We got a lot of people on the beach here in Jacksonville, surfing and fishing and all that good stuff. And it's a great way to start a day. Jerry Rosenberg's watching, says good morning. Christopher said hello. All right, Bill, what do you got for me? He said, good morning, Greg. I would say buy the third rental. Bill, you hit the nail on the head, brother, like you normally do. Define young in this example, he says. Bill, how old are you? It sounds like young to me. Defining young, I think it's more about other sources of income, kind of generalizing with the young conversation. It's really about having other sources of income and maybe just your overall feeling towards debt as you get closer to retirement age is normally where people make decisions that might be the right decision for them that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best return on investment, right? I was talking with a family member this weekend. We had the same conversation and they said, hey, Greg, I saw this property that you were talking about on Friday when I was doing the walk and talk, and they said, should I invest in that one? And I asked them more questions about what does it mean when your husband retires, and what does it mean as far as cash flow if there was something to happen and to one of you, and how would that look or feel for you? And what we came to the conclusion was that buying that next rental property for them, they would have had to do it in cash, couldn't have taken advantage of financing because of the way that they want to run their family dynamics, and it made sense for them to not buy that next rental property for them. So it's more about other sources of income and just other things that come up, I would say, later in life. But the young generalization is, put a number on it. There's not a real number on it. It's more about if you're still actively throwing assets in your portfolio, or if you're mainly focused on positive cash flow when you get closer and closer to retirement there. All right, appreciate that, Bill. Brian Fine said, I 100% agree. Marilyn Cotterman said, young age versus retirement can be a key factor for sure. Absolutely. Anthony Ditta's laughing. He's probably knowing that I'm trying not to call people old out here. Nisar, a current client of ours. Hello, sir. He says, what if one of the two properties are not performing as well as you would like, and the tenants are behind on payments? Does it still make sense to buy a third one and have potentially two properties that are underperforming? Hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Well, that's a great question, Nisarg. So, in this case, we have to make the best decision knowing that historically how your assets are going to perform, right? We don't want to make a decision based on a moment in time, right? And historically, you're going to see these types of returns that I was speaking about in the example. So at a moment in time, right, we can all have difficult moments in time with any investment class, and I have them with my own rental properties every once in a while. But that wouldn't change my strategy here, right? In fact, what that would tell me is that I need to have a diversified portfolio, because I know that there are going to be moments in time when if you only have one property or if you only have two properties, it's going to seem like the sky is falling because sometimes when it rains, it pours. So I wouldn't say this changes your strategy at all. Even if you have two properties right now and they are underperforming, it wouldn't change the strategy at all, because in the long run, you're going to be able to hit these returns on investment. And getting assets into your portfolio is the major win for you if your goal is $5,000, as it is in this example. Right? If your goal is not $5,000, if your goal is, $1,500, and then this question, I would have a different answer, right? I would say, well, you're probably going to have $1,500 a monthly passive income from your two rental properties here. So maybe we don't buy that next one. So it's really goal dependent. But if your goal is $5,000 a month, I would keep throwing the assets in. I would keep using the capital to go ahead and include those assets, get them into your portfolio, and then use that smart debt and pay those down way over time, right? You can borrow money now at 3.5%, 4.5%. That's a beautiful thing. Jerry says, I totally agree. And Anthony did have said, you're correct, Greg. Yeah, he saw me stammering out there. I don't want to, sometimes you got to make sure you're trying to be politically correct, right? All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate everybody's involvement on the Walk and Talk today. I can tell this is a topic that matters to you all. We're going to dive right into this on Tuesday and Thursday in the show this week. So make sure you join us 12:30 Eastern, and you can join us at jwbshow.com. Appreciate all of you. Take care, everybody.